Okay, can y'all see me? Y'all see me?
Nope.
Good. How about now? It says one person, so somebody sees me.
I have you live, but it says
Restart it, like refresh it. I mean, and of course, like always, I am nervous. And y'all make sure your ringers are off, please. And welcome to the show, My Unasked Opinion. And today we are going to be talking about knowing what forgiveness looks like and sexual abuse with family or friends of family. And the topic was brought by a classmate, Miss April. So I decided that is something that is not often talked about or discussed. It's just one of those subjects that I like to say is brushed under the rug, and it affects us in our later on in our life. Y'all got it? So, what about the camera? I can't. So we're just here to make sure my. Uh-oh. Well, I hope everything's okay because I have a number of people now. We're missing just one person, so we're kind of waiting on him. So, I think I'll start uh, with the most sensitive subject, sexual abuse by family, because then that'll just lead into knowing what forgiveness looks like if we even decided to forgive, that person. And I know a lot of times people say, oh, you have to forgive, but why?
Is that a question for us?
Yes, that is a question. That is going to be
that's
a question
to
to ponder on. So a lot of people go through 93%, as I was doing the research before getting on here, 93% of children who are abuse victims don't report it. And it's, well, it's not that they don't report it, but it's caused by someone that they know, a family or a family friend, and it's not reported. And when it comes to abuse, we always think of, majority of the time, when we think of kids or anybody who's been abused sexually, we assume it's a female. And we don't think about the men who has gone through it as well. And as we were discussing earlier, if you are a young boy, you're 12 years old, being babysat by, an older female, she's 25, 30 years old, and she takes your virginity, or even 17, 18, and she takes your virginity, you're thinking, growing up, telling your friends, oh, going around all macho and everything. But in reality, you were raped. And most men don't speak up on that. And that's the thing that I feel like men should be able to voice their opinions on that and voice it to authority, and to be able to speak on it and not be shunned upon or looked down or laughed at. There was a situation, and I don't know the full details, but I know there was a situation with Terry Crews, and a lot of people laughed at him. I don't know if y'all heard about that. Huh?
I do.
Where a dude grabbed him. Was that what it was? I thought it was a female who.
Who was you what? As a child?
Terry Crews,
No, Terry Crews, the big, yeah.
Yeah. As a child? Or you talking about when you do that?
This was like as an adult, like something recently. Yeah.
That's when the dude.
No.
Yeah.
Not the big missile.
So tell us what happened. Do you know? I thought it was a female. I didn't get all the full details.
I'm not gonna tell you what happened, but yeah, I'm Google it. He said it out loud. He said it on air, every platform that he said on. So yeah, a dude grabbed him and he
Like for
basically
movie
didn't do
role?
anything. Like I really say you can't, whatever.
So you think Terry Gay could let man touch him up and he?
I said Terry is not a man.
Why would you say
What's
that?
a man?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Because he should have punched him in his face as soon as he touched him. He didn't. He just let it happen. And then want to cry about it years later.
That's like Hank did the same thing.
However, we don't know what his mindset was at the time that it happened.
Like I said,
Like he thought he
that's why I
had
don't
to
say
accept
that.
that
I don't
for
know.
a job or something.
But no, I
It
mean
wasn't for a
it's
job.
your opinion.
No. He said, y'all gotta Google it. Y'all gotta hear what he said about it and see where he came out about it. The dude was talking to his wife or something like that. He walked up and then something happened to the point to where the dude touched him and he was like, "Ow, why would he touch me like that? Why he did this and that and the third?" But a man would look at him like, oh, this is gonna happen. You can't just touch me. So it came to a controversy
at a party.
It came to a controversy to the point where he didn't do nothing about it, but yet he wants to cry.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
It was during that movement where the women were coming out.
Right.
He said, well, it happened to men too.
Yeah.
That's how he shared his story.
That
At
wasn't,
a party, he was broke.
that wasn't
A big executive broke him at an industry party in 2016.
And see, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. You think of somebody that's in that industry who does something like that, who's high
executive,
right, well, higher power or whatever, right? And you think of your position as an actor trying to get, like you said, trying to get roles or whatever. You're gonna speak out against that. That'll mess up you have to. And I can understand from his point, not speaking out to an extent.
He's not in my life that I know that.
The singer?
I didn't know that.
Oh, didn't know that.
He said that he feared being ostracized or arrested himself if he had reacted violently, so he let it go. And he said he understands why so many women who this happens to just let it go.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, y'all gonna blacklist me. Or even kids that are abused. Oh, she fast and she lying and she. You remember the people where it was literally till the girl was pregnant and had the baby that they didn't believe her until then. Like my stepdaddy doing this. You just don't
And the girl
no
was 10.
man. Yeah. She had like
So
a baby
Pregnant at 9, nigga.
So how does that work with anybody that stands up?
That what?
Anybody that stands up about anything. If you say that he felt like he was going to be ostracized.
Well, in that industry, you
In that industry,
because that's clearly that's common.
He could possibly be ostracized.
Clearly, that's common. In
That is a very common thing because you have to think about it. Even in my situation, I feel like I was ostracized from the freaking church. You take one freaking position, one person because of their position. They're in a higher position. So
that you was ostracized from the church, and that church should not have ever been developed.
Okay, a lot of industries shouldn't be in the way that it is running. Yeah, either.
But on that same note, as a man, if I'm standing somewhere and another man grab me, I don't care where my status is or where I'm trying to go. That another man is just a man to me. You're not gonna touch me like that.
So,
but see, that's you. That's not everybody's. Everybody has their own.
They have. So you want to say that his career, because Terry Crews can go anywhere. His career was in jeopardy from one person.
You see what happened to Monique?
Exactly.
Monique did what? Monique said one thing about somebody, and then she got ostracized.
She got blacklisted. And you see her in anything else since? I haven't. But
she's been in a lot of stuff.
Since that?
Yeah, she's still making movies. Trust me, she's still making money.
I'm not saying that she's not making money, but
it's not the
it's
same. It's not what to the extent that she would have. Right.
So it doesn't matter if she's in the public eye or not.
But to
she
them,
stood
it
up
may.
for what she needed to say. Now the thing about it is,
he's stretching nice.
yeah,
Right. Look, me sip my.
now
I see
Monique did one thing. I can't even remember what it was. Remind me what it was.
I just know she spoke out about something with Oprah and Lee Daniels or something.
She spoke out. She spoke out against.
Maybe gang gangs.
No, it wasn't gang. It was no, she's always spoke out against women and their physiques, stuff like that. Big women, little women. She's always spoke out about that. But it was something that really went off, and I can't remember what it was.
But either way, one person. The point of that is you pissing off the one person, the wrong person, right person, could really affect the trajectory of your career, of your livelihood.
But if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
That's not how it works everywhere, though. That's just with the law.
That's what it is. It doesn't matter how it works in the system. If you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong.
Right, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when it comes to certain industries, yeah, you can be right, but you speak up against it.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
That's you.
No, that's what the industry.
I've worked for the state of Florida and been in an office, and a white man has said, "Ooh, the things I would do to you," and I still had to go to work with this man. And when I spoke up against it, you know what happened? You are the most exceptional worker we had, but we don't want to fire you, but can you just resign because we don't want any confusion? Because Mr. Jones, blah, 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 blah. And this man got pregnant from North Florida to South Florida.
And how did that
and happen? A wife.
Did that happen in writing? Or did that happen verbally?
It happened verbally, it happened in writing, it happened in you trying to touch me and
if it happened in writing, there's nothing they can do to you. If it happened verbally, that's you against them.
No, it was witnessed by several times by multiple people.
Yeah, but those are they credible witnesses?
What I did.
See, that's the problem. What you just said. That's why a lot of people don't speak up. Mm-hmm. Are they a credible witness? The point is, if they witness, then hold on.
If there was meth and Mary, if she saw it,
exactly. If she was hoish Heather, if she witnessed it, her character shouldn't be into play.
Who cares?
The witness character shouldn't be into play. If they witness something, you said because I was just right, and I made credible at this extent. But if I witness something, whatever is going on then shouldn't matter. My credibility should have nothing to do with what I seen or heard. When you were speaking, you said is it a credible witness?
Credible witness, right?
Right, credible. Why? What does her?
You said she, like
whoever it is, not he, she, the witness. Period. Okay. When you say credible, is it a credible witness? What do you mean credible? Why does that person's credibility come into play? Either they witnessed it or they didn't.
Right. But see, the thing about it is, if you make a statement right then and there, he waited. He didn't make a statement. He didn't do anything about it. This is what I'm going at right now. He didn't do anything about it right then and there. But yet, he says his wife was standing right there. And he didn't. She saw. If he would have reacted, he has a witness when the police come and make a statement.
Let's flip it. No, I'm going to say let's flip it for the audience. Let's flip it for the audience because you're talking about one specific person. I know one incident, right? But the idea for the audience is to let them know, hey, when a situation happens, that they can't speak up. He spoke up whenever he did it, regardless. He said, okay, me too, regardless of that being a man, whatever. It happened to him. So regardless of when he spoke up, he should be believed. Just like when they say when women speak up against men, we should be believed. When men speak up, the thing is they should be believed. So even not it just is, that's what I'm saying. Let's flip the situation. Let's flip it.
I can't agree with that.
Okay, but let's flip the situation.
Okay, let's flip the situation.
We'll use me for example.
No, we're not gonna use you as
I'm gonna use me. I wasn't asking. I'm gonna use me for example. I was in a situation. Okay? I didn't speak.
I'm not gonna use you as an example, but you can go ahead.
Okay, let's just make up a name. We're gonna make up a name.
I'm not gonna do none of that because
you're not doing it, I'm doing it for people to fully understand. Yes, you should, because we need a man's opinion. And I don't know where JB is, but I have some missed calls.
No. Not gonna do that.
Please hold this brief intermission.
Ain't no.
I know you hit that.
I was looking at the phone trying to make sure. A female or a male go to the club, right? Everybody in the club getting tips. Hey. Okay. Now with the female, a lot of times when we go to the club, our clothes are fitting, correct? A lot of times, not always, but we wear form-fitting.
We try,
clothing. We do try, and we out there. We doing our thing.
Stop it. If you really want to go there, be serious.
I am being serious.
It's revealing.
It don't matter if I walk in the club.
I don't understand, but I want to be serious.
Exactly. Okay.
I want to be serious. Be
but
serious.
Not okay. Some people say revealing. Some people say form-fitting. My clothes are okay. Listen, because when you say revealing, okay, you're wearing something that's revealing or / form-fitting. It's tight or sheer or just something that fits your body appropriately. It could be appropriately or inappropriately. Either way, as a female or male, you go to this club. Let's say female, because we're the ones who, for the most part, do that. And when you leave that club, say you're not interested in trying to holler at no dude or whatever. You just want to go on about your way because all you did was come to the club to have fun with your girls. Kick it, boom. It is what it is. But because of your clothing, you are looked at a certain way. So men are approaching you, we'll say according to how you're dressed. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. However I'm dressed, though, that gives no man or woman the right to violate my body. I should be able to say something. If I say it then, if I say it a week from now, if I say it a month from now, I have the right to say it when I choose to say it, when it is comfortable for me to deal with it.
And if it happens to be within statutes of limitations, you might be prosecuted.
Exactly. So I'm saying, even with that situation, with especially being a man, men, like you said in a previous video, y'all have that pride, y'all have that ego, y'all aren't speaking up about a lot of things. And like you said, he probably wouldn't speak up if he heard something like this. Oh, you're not a man. All the more reason to shut down. And that's what people do. When we hear certain things, people shut down and feel like, oh, I can't speak because this is how the other person is going to see it or say something. And they're not hearing how I'm feeling, how it's going to make me feel.
You went from one thing to another, but I'm going to say.
Did I?
Yeah. You went from.
I'm seeing her face on.
I'm just listening.
No. When I see you went from one thing to another, because you went from a chick dressing seductively at a club.
It's to paint a picture.
Right. You painting that picture, but then you jump right back to a man getting touched by another man. That's nowhere near the same thing.
It is.
It's not. No.
Unwanted touching.
It's unwanted touching.
Unwanted
whether
touching.
It's a man or a woman.
Whether it's a man or a woman. But that woman's gonna say something.
Not always, no.
What you mean? She gonna say, "Oh, don't do that. Get away from me."
No, you're talking to a woman.
Because there are men who literally don't take rejection well and
Oh my
have
God.
jumped on and beat women. So sometimes we just be like, because you don't know who
You don't exactly.
Murder.
But because the thing is, because you feel like women are gonna automatically speak up right then, they don't. If you would have sit in a room full of women and they were honest, and all of them have been abused some type of way sexually, I guarantee you more than half would say they said nothing or they waited to say something.
I thought we said all. I didn't even say that. Hey, it's hot in here.
You can do
I'm
the.
about to.
This is, you
She
know,
had me taking off all my clothes at work.
she did.
So
Yeah,
the topic is that
it is not your fault.
that
It feels like it's your
other people
fault.
have their issues and think that they can perk on you. So my question, I have a question. As a person who was exposed to a bunch of abuse, was abused, part of the reason I don't even want kids is because I can't protect them all the time.
Right.
So as a mother of a daughter, and you as mother, like how are you comfortable sending your girls out? Like how do you do that? Based on your experiences in the world as a woman, how do you?
For me, I was very overprotective with Angel.
You just overprotective.
I'm really, really protective. I mean, it's only so much, like you said, you can do. But I limit where my kids can go. And when they are there, I set a precedent, a time, and everything as when they're going. I need to know the atmosphere, who's there, what's going on.
And you know, most are perked on by family.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why, because I have a little girl, she's allowed 2 places.
Okay.
My house, her dad's house. The end. My son, he's allowed to go over to my sister's house. Not that often, though. Other than that, my house, dad's house. Because for me, it is about protecting them from the same foolishness that I've gone through.
So in your attempts at protecting her, do you ever feel like you're limiting her experiences?
I definitely have. With Angel, she voiced that because she would have friends who stayed right across the street, like diagonal. I could look out and probably look into their house, but she could not spend the night over there. And for the longest, I wouldn't even allow her to go outside unless I was there and could see her. And I'm still that way with my kids. If I can't see them up and down the street, then it's a no-go. If I can't see you when we're at the playground, I need to be able to see you every couple of seconds, or we can't go. If I can't constantly have my eyes on you, then it's exactly. I need to know who you're with,
what type of person they are.
Right.
Right, Michelle.
You have to me with being a parent, you have to be mindful of who you have around your kids. Male and female. Like right now, as we know, with the kid's dad or whatever, and when he's dating or whatever, it's like I've talked to him before, and I'm telling him to be mindful of who the females that he's with, also because that's who my kids are going to be seeing, and I don't want any negativity, rubbing off. And I have to be the same way. I was in a relationship before, and I seen that negativity in that relationship and how it's affecting my children. So now it's like, no, I don't want to be that person because my kids are watching. My kids are seeing this.
They are sponges.
And they are definitely some sponges. So they're absorbing all of this.
So do you talk to your kids about their body parts and let them know, like, this is if anybody touch you here, so they're aware of?
The moment they say that something is hurting, that'd be the first thing I jump to.
Somebody
Did somebody touch you? And I let them know it's okay to tell me. It's not your fault. I let them know that all the time. And I constantly, they probably get tired of hearing me have that talk, but every couple of months we have that talk.
So what do you think in it's a thing in our community, the Black community, typically where what happens in this house, stay in this house, don't be telling our business, this happened, that happened, don't be telling people about Uncle JoJo and Uncle and Auntie Riri. You feel me? So how do you propose, just from your experience and your learning and therapy and stuff, how do you propose, do you have suggestions for people listening, watching that may run across this, for how they could communicate these things to their kids? Like my mom was too gonna real with me. Like I used to think it was too much, but as I got older and experienced things and saw things, like I'm glad she was that way. But she told me about who did it, how they tried it, everything. And I was around those people that did stuff to my mom. Never did anything to me, but I think it had to do with her, what she did to them. You know what I'm saying? So she talked to me about a lot and told me like this person, that person. I witnessed grown men come into my mama's house to hang out. Like, well, Mary, if I see your daughter, can I give her a couple dollars? Mama, like, no, you actually get out my house because now I feel like you're watching a child. You know, so
Right.
How do you? What is a healthy way you think to talk to like kids under 10 and then kids between 10 and 18? Because you parented people that way, like those, in those age groups. And you have daughters. So how do you talk to them about what happens when they're not with you and how comfortable are they talking to you? Do you and their mom talk to? Do y'all talk to them together?
Don't bring her into this. Don't bring her into this.
Please don't bring that up, man. Listen,
you good?
When I talk to my girl, they're in that age and whatever, but I talk to them not like grown-ups, but I do talk to them so they can understand. So I say, if anybody does anything to you that you don't want to be done, call your dad.
So if my mama yell at me and I want her yelling, call you.
Call me. I don't care if it's your mama, your grandmama, your auntie, whatever. If something is happening to you that you don't feel as though is right, I'll tell you what is right. Maybe you deserve that.
For me, with my kids,
call me.
I tell them to talk to us, let us know. But for any other child that's out there, because a lot of times, like we say, it's family. So you can't go, you're afraid to go to another family member. Say, let's just say it's your stepdad. You may tell your mom, but your mom does nothing about it.
Or don't believe you.
Or don't believe you. Or don't want to lose their relationship. So your word has no merit. It's just whatever. It's just your word. And you're uncomfortable in that house. So now you have to, you as a kid, it's wrong. So you need to find some way. So my advice, if you're in school, would be to tell the school resource officer, to tell the counselor, keep telling other family members. If you have an auntie, uncle, grandparents, the thing is to keep telling until something happens. And that was the thing I wish I would have done, was just keep saying something until something happened. Write it down.
And give it to a police officer. Or a person, because if you're someone under 10, it's gonna be.
But that's the thing. If you're someone, my kids' age, 8, 9, 10 years old, you're not likely to write that down. But you can at least write, "I need help."
Okay, yours are, how old are they?
14, 7, and 5.
14, 7, and 5.
How do you communicate to them? And they're all girls. So how do you, like the little ones, how do you have that talk with them? Because that's usually when it happens. And I know yours are almost always with you or the daddy, right? Or your mom.
But that thing we shake it. Well, okay.
Yeah. So you haven't had those talks with the little ones?
Not in depth. They know what their area is, and nobody should be there.
Okay.
And to always tell me so.
I feel like that's a conversation with girls that should definitely be had like often.
At home regularly, not
Regularly.
just that one time at school. Yeah.
And thankfully, I can say I'm pat myself on the back for Angel because that was what kept her to be the way that she is to this day, where she's not worried about anything sexual. I was overprotective with her, but I also had that talk with her about her body parts, good touch, bad touch, and making sure every couple of weeks, every couple of months, that I'm making sure when you're with other family that nothing is happening, that you can talk to me, feel free. That's why my kids speak the way that they do so openly, because they know that it is okay to tell me anything that that happens to them.
I'm hot already. This got me cooking in the damn room.
Okay, I'm gonna turn my heater off. Listen, I stay cold.
Oh, you got me bounce.
I need you to fall down like at least 3 steps. Just 3.
Lord,
I
the
don't want you to get
wine.
hurt. I just want you to just fall
This is
down.
a Christian
So-
network.
This is not a Christian network.
Because he finna get it.
We talking about sexual abuse and stuff.
You can talk about
But although
sexual
Christians
abuse.
need to hear it,
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
what
humans, all
Yeah,
humans,
that's
all
right.
religions, all races, all
It happens
ethnicity
everywhere.
needs to hear it. So
Okay.
absolutely.
And then communicating that it's not your fault to people that even there are some adults that have suffered things that they've in their 40s, 50s, 60s and still haven't told. And some people feel guilty and think that, oh, I was being fast, so that's what I got for being fast. And I was taught how to twerk and dance. And I used to get paid to dance for the crowd at the house party. And so that's so common. So I guess then how do you let people know that it's not their fault? When it's been inbred in them and in their roots, in their root system,
That takes
if you
a lot of
carry on
healing.
this way, if you dress this way, it's gonna happen to you. But that's not accurate.
Right. And that takes a lot of healing, which usually is a lot of therapy also, because when you've gone through traumatic experiences like that, it's hard not to believe that it wasn't your fault. You coming from that experience, you think back on, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't gone to this place, or whatever it is, it was if I, no matter what. And no matter the situation that you put yourself in, like I said before, that person still didn't have the right. So you still have to know that I had the right to be there. I had the right to say no. So it's still not my fault. You were wrong for doing that thing. You have to believe that.
That's the truth. That's the God honest truth. Like, it's never your fault.
But when you've been in that situation, it's hard to actually believe it. You can say it. That is something that is hard to be honest. To be honest with yourself, it is something that is always going to be in the back of your head. Had I not skipped school that day to be with my boyfriend, well, his boss wouldn't have raped me at the park. No matter what. Hey, if I would have just kept my ass at school, guess what? It would not have happened. If I wasn't being fast that day, it would not have happened. But guess what? I was still a 14-year-old kid and it happened. And I have to accept that. The thing is, you have to accept it. You have to acknowledge it. And you have to accept that you can't change the past and it happened.
Right. But that's not always the case for everybody.
That is not
So
the
when
case.
you
So we're
say-
not speaking everybody.
Right, but we're talking on a platform for everybody. So let me speak. On a platform for everybody. When you say that somebody this happened to them because they did something else. That's not always the case.
That's not what I said.
You said because I did this.
I was
This happened.
speaking to me.
Right. So I'm not saying about you. I'm saying about everybody in general.
I was giving an example for the public.
Right. But you can't give me a general example just about you.
Yes, I can. I'm going to give you feedback on it.
She don't like listening. She don't like just listen.
But you're saying what I can't do when I did it.
I'm saying what cannot happen as a generalization.
What you believe should not happen. I'm very literal.
No, that's not what I believe should not happen. I said what you said was not the generalization of what happens to everybody.
Okay. So
So
everyone doesn't have a feeling of blaming themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody don't have a feeling of themselves because
I never
what
said
they
that.
did. You just.
She said she had that feeling, and you're.
And I said a lot of
What
times.
she
I
said
said a
was,
lot of times
you can't
people.
blame yourself because of what you did because I chose to do this. When you say you chose to do something, that doesn't mean what you chose was the wrong thing. People choose something because they feel as though they choose to do that. Like me, I almost went to jail because I chose to hang out with my girlfriend who was a year younger than me, and we got caught at the park and we weren't doing nothing. We're just looking at the stars. We sitting there talking, looking at the stars. We got caught at the park after hours. I was 18, she was 17. I almost went to jail that night because of statutory rape.
Mhm.
She was underage and they couldn't get in contact with her parents.
Okay, and there was a choice you
we were in
made.
the bushes. No, we weren't even in the bushes. It was on Main Street. Yeah, we were just sitting.
I think I'm lost and confused as to what you're saying. I shouldn't be saying. I was generalizing everything until I got to the point to me to make it a point. But in your situation, like you said, you made that choice.
Everybody makes a choice.
Right.
But that
I
choice
chose
doesn't-
to skip school that day.
Okay, that's
And it happened. And I wasn't.
choice.
Yes, it was. Because first off, we
We
shouldn't
always
be skipping
skip
school.
school on senior skip day.
That don't
Is
make
that a
it
bad
right.
choice?
That doesn't make it
That
right.
doesn't make it right, but that don't make it wrong either. This is just a choice that we made. It's just a choice. What happened?
It's
You
like
can't
you're
say
saying that
choice because what
choices
happened with
are
that choice. It was a bad choice.
so.
choice is a choice is a choice.
Right. If I choice to
label it good or
my
bad,
choice right now is to get married.
Your choice intertwined with that person's choice.
It's just a choice. That's what you made it.
Okay.
It's not good or
What
bad.
happened? It's not good.
It,
nor
that's
bad.
his point. Okay.
Your choice.
So your point is it's not a good or a bad choice. It's just a
It's just a
choice.
choice.
It's
you
just
made.
Okay,
choice.
but listen to what I'm saying. In that incident, in a lot of incidents, most people are going to think bad choice. Let's be general, because most people are thinking your choices are either good or bad. Whatever it is, just like right and wrong, is one of the other.
Okay.
And that instance, when speaking on me, general, I made a bad choice either way to skip school. I shouldn't have been skipping school. When you choose to go to the club, that is your right. You
Yeah.
choose to go to the club. Not yet. Because I believe you're playing devil's advocate, and that's not where I'm trying to go. So hold on. You make life choices. At the end of the day, you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect yourself, whether it's a family member, family friend. When you choose to speak up on it, that is really your choice. When you make choices, they're going to have consequences, good or bad.
Right.
When it comes to blaming yourself, most victims blame themselves. Most victims blame themselves once that happens. Most rape, most abuse victims, the vast majority, blame themselves for that situation happening, even though we know it's not our fault. So for me, I know it is not my fault that a 14-year-old girl was at the park and a grown man decided to do what he did. I, unfortunately, chose to skip school on that day. And that is what happened. Is it my fault that that situation happened? No. Did I make a bad choice? Yes, I did. That is my opinion. as the show says, it's my unasked opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have something to say?
Do you?
I do, but are you gonna
Let's-
allow me to say it?
Speak freely now.
Okay, so now Columbine School.
We go through this all the time just so people know
Columbine
this is the
School,
thing.
when the dude went in there and shot up the school, the ones that chose to leave the school and not.
Wait, we're not speaking on choice. Let's stick to the
We
topic.
are. The topic
That's not the
is-
topic. It's about sexual abuse.
Right.
And knowing that it's not our fault. The Columbine, that's a shooting. That has nothing to do with sexual abuse. So give us an example about abuse. That's where we were. We were not on choice. We're on abuse. So that's why I've been going there.
Okay. The 14-year-old out of South Carolina who chose not to go to school and skip and got hit by a car because her what's it called? Physical ed teacher was coming on to her. Is that her choice?
She chose to skip school.
So was that a bad or a good choice?
Then you say she was hit. Don't sound like a good one to me.
That's a bad choice.
Skipping school so she skipped the class where the teacher that was abusing her.
Right.
And when she skipped that class, she left campus
Mm-hmm.
and was hit by a car.
No matter how you put that, that was not a good choice. There were other choices to have been made.
But to that 14-year-old, that may have been the best
The
choice.
best choice.
That
was the only
exactly.
choice or option
That
she
might have
thought
been
she
the only
had.
choice. Good or bad, she might have felt like that was the only choice.
But it was a choice
That she made.
It was
That
a
she
choice
made.
that she
What
made,
happened
and that was
Okay.
the consequence.
she's
So a choice
Exactly.
about sexual abuse.
That wait, there's no choice
No,
in
no, no, no.
sexual abuse.
Stop. Hold up. Let me finish. before-
Please rephrase that though. That sounds real offensive. I'm just letting you know. The choice of sexual abuse,
I didn't
that's
say it. Okay, well, I did say it.
right. I'm gonna need to hit that in a minute. And I can't edit that, and it's just is what it is.
Hey, what had happened was
Tommy on Martin got a job.
the road was down.
You gotta-
Tommy on Martin got a job.
I just found out what they meant last year.
Let's take on.
I am done.
So
Yes,
the people,
why he thinks.
when you're okay, so you've been abused. People have done some horrible things to me, right? And forgiving them.
Mhm.
You know, some people there are people from the world of you don't truly forgive if you can't forget it. But there are some situations that you're just not gonna forget. So there are people who abuse me, and I in turn had to be like a life jacket for that person, like to save their life and to
Why?
get them.
Same.
That's just what circumstances led to, and I was the person in position to assist with their issue.
Can
Right.
I ask how that made you feel? Did you feel like you had to be that person?
I felt like if it were me in that predicament, I would want somebody else to assist me if they
Okay.
were able to,
Okay.
despite the circumstances. So that was where I'm operating from. But I will, well, I'm very rarely around anybody unarmed, but I am not comfortable around that person, and they are around often. So I'm always like on guard, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So you are. I'm older. I understand you actually all your cells ain't even all the way developed up there. So like I kind of understand some things. So I forgive, but you like, do you really forgive if you every time you're around and you feeling the way?
That is a good question, and I would have, for me, my asked opinion. I feel like if you still feel a certain way, feel uneasy, you haven't fully forgiven,
You don't
and
think
that's
so?
okay.
What do you
I
think?
just think that you forgave and ain't ever gonna forget
Mhm.
type of shit. Like I wouldn't be
Mhm.
comfortable. So I don't think you're wrong.
Not even this. I'm just how. What about you? Do you think you can forgive?
I don't remember that.
I'd always be forgiving.
He said he'll do none of
I
that.
wouldn't. I always have in my mind. You did it once. You did it.
You
Exactly.
try something.
So I forgave you, but I'm not.
I ain't-
Gonna allow
I'm not
it
gonna
to
put
happen
myself
again.
in
I
that
know how
position
you do.
to let it
So,
happen
no,
Yeah.
again.
So
You know
therefore,
that.
when I'm around you, it's gonna be the type of aura. Take that shit or don't take that.
What'd you say, Mister?
Same shit. Like, okay. I understand people, I understand emotions, I understand everything. But when it comes to repeating something, if you did it knowing that it was wrong, you don't do it again.
Okay.
That's it.
So what do you what? And this is just work like life experience and work experience. So what about kids that perk on kids because adults have perked on them, so they think that that's what
What
they're
the
supposed
hold
to
on, hold on, what's per?
perpetrating, like
Oh,
perpetrating on
Yeah.
violating.
In other words,
Jargon.
abusing kids.
Yeah.
okay, that's a little different because they gotta learn.
They're imitating what they
But
see,
adult-
but it's
okay,
it's
so
not
then-
okay.
So then there are teenagers who are being perked on by 20-year-old.
Right. The thing is, it's being kids.
who've been perked on by the
Kids doing it to kids is
You know,
not
so
okay.
once you're 20 years old, shit, you know what the hell you doing.
But if I've since the age of 5, I've been being abused by this grown person, abused by this grown person. So now, to me, that's normal adult
Right.
behavior. So now that's what I do. I meet somebody, a little person that I like, so I'm gonna groom and perk on them, and because that's what I know. So do you excuse that? Because when you find out those people's situations and they really just doing all they know, or
To an extent, I feel like you have to because, like you said, that's what you know. That's what you were taught, and it takes a lot to unteach all of that, to unlearn all of that.
Shit,
So absolutely, and
I disagree.
hold on, so that's fine.
I hold on.
But I feel like you were saying, kids abusing kids because somebody abused that kid. And so they're just doing what they know. So as they continue to grow up and they're still growing up in that same toxic environment where it's just allowing to be had, like it's normal for them. So when it's normalized, what else are you supposed to know when you become a teenager or when you become an adult? That's what you're seeing. That's no difference than somebody who lives out in the wilderness. You're used to living out in the wilderness, so you come to city life. This is foreign to you. Exactly. So it's no different. You're used to being in an abusive relationship in a home, and it just seems normal. But then when you get out into the world, you realize all of this is wrong. You said you disagree, Anthony.
Where he go?
You said, yeah, I disagree with all that. I mean,
Can I ask you a question?
not while I'm
Okay, go ahead.
hold up. You can grow up around a lot of hostility. You can grow up around a lot of bullshit, like everything that comes through. But at some point in time, you do know what's right. At some point in time, you do grasp what's right. It don't take you to get to 20 to 30 to 40 years old to understand what's right. So once that happens, I mean, you guys, as a person, you gotta understand what's right and wrong. It don't matter if you grew up in a household that's straight racist, but when you at a certain point in time, you gonna feel as though that's not real. That's not life.
I don't know that though.
Some people.
All right, that's a lot of people do.
Some people, you're right, because they grew up their whole life with some.
And that's what she was saying.
At
Some people grow up their whole life.
At some point in time.
Right.
It doesn't take you to get 50 to 60 years old.
But who's
now?
I'm saying this though. Can I talk
with something that's different from what you're experiencing or what you know? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to say that. You know what? The way I think is wrong. Although I've encountered this other way of thinking or this other way of doing things, this other way of living life, that doesn't mean that my way is wrong. Right or wrong.
It never said it was wrong.
Yeah, no, but you saying at some point you realize that what's right and what's wrong.
Right, and you said they shouldn't take till they're 40 and 50, but who's to say it doesn't take that long? Everybody's mindset and what they learn and how they learn and develop is completely different.
Time to erase a habit.
It does. It takes a long time, and when you haven't experienced things like that, it's easier to say and judge.
Like how you.
It's easier to say and judge when you haven't been through it.
Because if you go up in pain,
being criticized,
if you know it's pain and you know it's criticized,
A habit.
if you know anything that made you feel negative, you know that's wrong.
Not at first you do not.
Right.
I mean, not at first. No.
You eventually learn.
Exactly.
You eventually learn. How long does that take you to learn?
It depends on when it started. She was saying at 5 years old. She was at 5 years old. So it doesn't take that long. That's the prime. Hold on, wait. That's the prime years of a kid learning stuff.
That's emotional.
No.
Okay. Listen. As it comes into play, and I'm not saying this to you personally.
No, I got you.
So 5 years old, coming up, knowing this is what's going on with you. This is what's going on with you. You see that go to school, public, private, whatever. Or if you homeschool, then that's a different thing. If you're going to school, you see certain things. You see how things go. If you hang out in the streets, like we probably didn't hang out in the streets like that. But if we did hang out in the streets, you'll see how things go in different families. You know, I grew up with both my parents. You didn't.
And most people don't.
Exactly. So most people don't. But everybody think because you grew up with both your parents that everything was sweet. That's not the case.
No, and we know that.
So with that being said, y'all might have had it better. But you don't know that because you always looking at me like I had the two. Not you per se.
No, I'm saying take it back to the point.
I'm saying to the point is that you can't judge what a person does as they grow up.
But you were.
Everybody would. Everybody would judge.
We weren't.
Ooh.
You were the one saying at some point they have to learn. But
right.
Okay, so hold on. You had your chance. So listen. If at 5 to 10 years old, those youth years, those
5 to 10?
Yes.
Let's go.
No. It's statistics. No. These are statistics, numbers that I'm going by. So just stay with me here. From 3 years old, those elementary school years are those detrimental years to learning. That's why it's very important for kids in elementary. There are sponges, as we said before. So when you have a kid who's growing up in a toxic relation, in a toxic home, in toxic family, they're not living out in the street. They're not seeing certain things in school where how things should be because they're being sheltered because of that abuse. No, that is what they're going through. You're seeing it from your point, but you have to understand everybody has a different point of view on how things go and how things should be. From your point of view, from your opinion, this is how people should be. But it's not how. If it was, the world wouldn't be the way that it is in the fuck shit that we're in. But it is because Everybody grows up seeing different things, and the vast majority of people, the vast majority of kids are in an abusive home where they can't say anything. And so they're just constantly learning that bad behavior and they're just passing it on. That generational curse that everybody talks about, that's all that is you passing it on from one thing to another because you learned it. And it doesn't matter when you find out, you might find out too late. You might be 16, 17, 18 years old. But guess what? At 9 or 10 years old, 11 years old, you probably had already done something to another kid. And now that kid gonna do the same thing. And then that kid gonna do the same thing. And then they become an adult and they become a freaking rapist. Why? Because it was learned behavior from past experiences. So the thing is, how do you stop that? How do you say something? How do you forgive? Like we were saying before, how do you forgive that person? Just because you remember doesn't mean you can't forgive. I remember a lot of things people have done to me. But when people come to me, this is just me personally. When people come to me and I can see that they're genuinely sincere and they're showing that, I hurt you, I know it, and I'm going to try to make things right, or I just want to at least let you know I acknowledge that I hurt you. It's easier usually for somebody to say, when somebody says I'm sorry, to be forgiven. But people have a problem acknowledging their own freaking faults and their own wrongs and saying, I'm sorry that I hurt you. Now, when you don't get that, because a lot of people have a hard time acknowledging their own fuck ups and their own wrongs, and will not acknowledge, they will not say I'm sorry. It takes a long time. I'm a witness. But when you do, it's best to go ahead and just acknowledge it to that person. When you don't get that, apology is harder to my personal experience. It seems to be harder to forgive. And I'm at that point, really, for me, why should I? Why do I have to forgive you? People say it's for your sake, but I'm not hurting because I don't forgive you. You did this thing and you don't seem to care. So for me, it's like, well, why should I care? I care that you hurt me, but you don't even want forgiveness. If you don't care to want forgiveness, then I don't give a crap about you wanting forgiveness. That's just me. But not everybody is good.
Sometimes people don't even know that they need to want forgiveness because they don't even realize that they hurt you.
Right. If you don't communicate that something has.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Right. Sometimes you have to voice that someone has hurt you or has done a thing to you that made you feel a certain way, and then allow them to apologize or try to make it right. And if they can't, then you know how to deal with that person going forward. Any other questions or anything? So I wrote down a few things. So hopefully April gets to see this. And it's about knowing forgiveness and what it looks like. And like we were saying before, it's different for everyone. I've shared what it looks like for me. But that's just me, in my opinion. Forgiveness is I believe to be an individual thing. And as long as it's not causing you hurt and pain, in strong, hurtful emotions, then I think you'll be fine. And acknowledging the hurt. And I've said that, I think earlier, acknowledge that whoever it is did something to you, it wasn't your fault. Or if something, when it comes to abuse, it's not your fault. So you have to first acknowledge that you are not to blame for that. And honestly believe it. As hard as it is, you have to try to make yourself believe that. And accept that you cannot change the past. No matter what has happened,
She is gone.
The past is just that, and there's no time machine to take us back, no Back to the Future, and we wouldn't want to go back to the future. Oh, so the past is gone. She, he, whatever it is what it is, and we just want to move forward and heal with our lives going forward. So whether it
past when it's pronouns.
Hey, It's whatever come out of whoever said.
So whether it was a family member, a friend who's done something, is an individual thing to forgive that person. Make sure that that person knows that they have hurt you. And if they decide to apologize, then be willing to accept that apology. Because a lot of times people do apologize and we don't want to accept. And you don't have to. You really don't have to.
I can sit on it a little
Be
while.
willing to, but it's not a must. It is definitely not a must. But my biggest thing would be to accept that you cannot change the past. So self-acceptance. Accept what you can do, accept what you can change, accept what you can control, and everything else, just allow it to go with the wind. And I thank y'all for joining my show. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you all next Friday. I'm going to end that.